I'd love for it to work. I just don't think it's gonna ever.
No,
that's it. I'm done. The AAF, which by the way, the AAF paid to be on network TV. Like they actually were paying for the airtime. So the XFL does have a better deal. But I mean,
well, there are teams in professional sports that pay for airtime as well.
Yes, but this is an entire league. That entire league. But hey, man, I don't. Do you have any hope for the XFL?
Do I have hope for it? Yeah, I hope it survives. I hope it works. I hope it ends up being some sort of feeder system to the NR, giving guys a second chance to get to make it and show what they've got. I do.
Would you bet on it?
Nope.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's where I'm at.
No, I would not bet on it. The only way. I mean, here's the thing. A league like this, it just, to me, it's because of the sport itself. It's because football is so violent and so hard hitting that a minor league doesn't really work, because the minor leagues for the NFL is college football. It's you progress to that point. It's not like you have guys, I spent 6 years in the AAF or the XFL and you know that's not going to happen. I don't see that happening. And it's because of the nature of the sport, which is it's just too rough. I wish it would. The only way I think that something like that works, and it did work until they got stupid, and that was the USFL. You would have to find a league that's going to be a rival league to the NFL, not one that's going to help it out. If you had a rival league come up and pay college players a ton of money on par with the NFL, change rules up and say, yeah, after 2 years of college football, you want to come play in our league, you're more than welcome to, and we'll pay you handsomely. That's a way that you could compete and make some money off it and maybe have some staying power. And then you have to make sure you pick the right season to do it.
Maybe.
Well, that's what the USFL did, and it did pretty well with it. They started to build a following, and then they made the mistake of, hey, let's go head-to-head with the NFL during their season.
Well, I guess for me, it's and the USFL. I don't know if you remember, but do you remember Donald Trump?
The owner of the Generals.
Yeah. Wasn't it him?
He was part of it.
Yeah, that wanted
yeah.
Whatever happened to that guy? Anyway, I actually liked what the AAF was talking about, and I would be intrigued because, I mean, they got desperate and started trying to figure out a way to make ends meet. I do wish practice squad players were eligible for this. I think if a league were with the NFL, would I want to watch Ty Johnson get 20 carries in a game? Actually, I would. Right? The practice, the running back that the Lions drafted was he a 6th or 7th rounder? Whatever he was. Would I want to watch him get 20 carries if he's a guy that's on the Lions practice squad? Yeah, that would interest me.
But to watch when? To watch him play from March through June?
Yeah.
But then you're going to have to pay him because the AAF didn't pay anybody. Their salaries were so small.
Sure. Pay him. That's fine. I mean,
when you're risking, those guys are, you'd be risking injury anyway.
Of course, they're risking injury, and the NFL would have to agree to put their practice squad, but they're practice squad players, right? I could see that more than I could. I mean, maybe even if NFL teams would say, we want this guy to get some experience, and he doesn't have to be a practice squad guy. If you were to send guys at the end of the Lions roster to a Midwest team in the XFL, if the XFL was made up of franchises that were all, if the franchises were stocked with NFL practice squad players, I'd be far more interested than what I saw from the AAF. And your USFL idea is right. I mean, the USFL went and got college football stars.
Yeah, they had Herschel Walker and Jim Kelly and Steve Young and others, Reggie White.
Yeah, I mean, would the
Marcus Dupree,
would
right?
the USFL had made it had they stayed in the spring?
Anthony Carter.
That is a question I don't know the answer to. But going to the fall was, they had no shot. But I guess
I don't think it has any chance.
The
XFL of having serious longevity, at least the way it's set up right now. I think that they were smart in waiting and trying to plan this one out in their second incarnation of the XFL, because the first one was just thrown together.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, did they have the marketing for the first one. The second one, now it comes, 15 years later, doesn't have the same marketing yet. Now, we're still a year out from them starting. So I don't know how they're going to ramp up that marketing, but already today with the announcement that they've got deals with to broadcast their games on Fox networks and on ESPN networks, that makes sense. Now, if those networks aren't paying, well, I'm curious what the other parameters are. Does that mean that the XFL is able to sell their own ad time on those programs, or what, or how that works? If there's obviously there's going to be a deal between the two, but if there's a way to make money at it, I wouldn't put it past Vince McMahon to make it successful for a little bit, but I don't see it having staying power.
248-539-9797 if you want to get into what would make you watch the XFL. As we're seeing this again, and I mean, if you're 20, you've seen this, maybe once with the AAF. But if you're older than that, like we are, we've seen multiple incarnations of alternate football leagues. And there's always a lot of hype, and there's a lot of initial interest. And Valenti said the curiosity, people will tune in out of morbid curiosity at the beginning. But it doesn't have staying power. Now, the only time that we experienced this locally, well, I guess was it the Detroit Wheels of the World Football League? I don't remember that. I think they played at Eastern. We had the Michigan Panthers at the Silverdome, and there was a buzz. There was a buzz in Detroit about the Panthers.
But you got to ask you, if you're going to try to play in a rival football league, when is the right time to play? And to your point about the practice squad players or whatever, it's hard to. I can't see the NFL signing off on that. But what about, we just had the draft 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
10 days ago, whatever it was. A lot of people went undrafted. A lot of players went undrafted. And those players get to sign unrestricted free agent contracts with NFL teams. And, the likelihood of them making it is not high. But is the better time to try to plan a football season? Here we are at the start of May. You have all of May for a training camp or a 6-week training camp. And then you start football up in mid-June or July to have a rival league at that point. Maybe not rivalry is the wrong way to put it, but another football league at that point to have it in the summer. And then maybe they can latch on to teams going into the NFL regular season, because I'm just trying to find a way where it works. The NFL draft is in April, the end of April, which doesn't do players any favors if they're trying to play in a rival league.
Yeah, and the NFL, why would the NFL try and help a quote-unquote rival league? They would have to have a business agreement where the NFL, if you're the Lions, let's think about this. Do you want Ty Johnson to get 20 carries in a spring league for 8 games?
No.
Why?
Because you don't want, he's your investment. You don't. Getting experience of practicing in game situations in a league where people are going to get, they're going to get hurt regardless, or do you want them in your own practice where you can control the environment a little bit? And hey, if you have an injury on your team, I don't want to risk him somewhere else. This is kind of like, how is this different than, say, having a rider in your contract that says you can't skydive?
It's not, other than
you can't play basketball.
Is there anything to be gained? And I'm asking, I'm not making the argument necessarily. I'm asking, is there anything to be gained by the Lions having practice squad players play actual games, as opposed to just working out?
I don't know if there is.
And going to OTAs.
I'm trying to think of it. If you want to say getting experience in more game situations, kind of the continuation of college, it's college light, if you will, or whatever, maybe. But I think the risk is too much that NFL teams be like, no, that's not happening. But it'd be interesting to see if you could get a league in a different time. It starts in June, whatever. And now guys like Karan Higdon or LJ Scott locally that did not get drafted and probably a long way to go to make it.
Nick Ward, Jordan Poole.
Right. But would they want to have a shot at playing in another league?
Karsch and Anderson open lines. Champ and Chump. Every Monday we hand out the Champ and Chump on a weekend. Who do you think should be singled out for having a great weekend? Who should be called out for having a weekend that sucks? We'll have ours today at 10:35. It's Karsch and Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket.